Imagine this. Your cat was just purring on your lap a few hours ago. She ate her food with gusto, played with her favorite toy mouse, and now, just a few hours later, she's gone. Sounds like a nightmare? Unfortunately, for far too many owners, this is a reality that shatters hearts. Today we're going to talk about something people don't usually discuss, the final moments of cats with heart failure. This isn't meant to scare you. It's knowledge that could give your furry friend years of life. Hello, dear cat lovers. Your guide into the world of feline mysteries is here. You know, cats are incredible creatures. They can fall from heights and land on their feet. They sense our moods. They heal us with their purrs. But there's one thing that challenges even their phenomenal bodies: heart disease. And today, we're going to break down the #1 silent killer of our furry companions. Fair warning, this is a tough topic. But understanding these processes isn't just an interesting fact. It's your chance to spot danger early and literally save the life of someone who depends entirely on your care. So, the main villain of our story is called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. That's a mouthful, so let's untangle it. Picture a normal heart. It's like an elastic muscular pump. It gently squeezes, relaxes, and moves blood around. Now imagine the walls of that pump starting to thicken. They become stiff instead of flexible. It's like taking a soft sponge and filling it with concrete. That's HCM. The heart walls thicken and lose their elasticity. There's less space inside the heart for blood. The heart has to pump blood with tremendous effort, like trying to breathe through a tiny straw. And here's the astonishing part. A cat with this condition can look perfectly healthy for years. She runs, jumps, begs for treats. But inside, a storm is brewing. But let's step into a veterinarian's office and look at the cold, hard numbers. They'd shock even experienced doctors. Have you ever wondered how common this really is? Vets who perform heart ultrasounds on cats tell us that signs of HCM are found in 10 to 15% of all cats worldwide. 1 out of every 10 furry friends is walking around with a ticking time bomb in their chest. And after 7 or 8 years old, it's 1 in 3. 30% of senior cats are at risk. This is especially true for large breeds, majestic Maine Coons, gentle ragdolls. Their predisposition is proven to be genetic. But friends, don't think your domestic short hair, your beloved rescue cat, is safe. HCM doesn't care about pedigree. It can walk into any home. And here's the cruelest part. Even a stethoscope might not hear any murmurs. The heartbeat sounds rhythmic, clean, but the walls are already turning to stone. And then one day, it happens. The body, which has endured and compensated for so long, finally says, "That's it, I can't go on." What actually happens in that moment? The most common and agonizing scenario is pulmonary edema. This isn't just a cough or feeling unwell. This is a catastrophe. Remember those stiff heart walls? Blood starts to pool in the atria. Pressure builds up like in an overheating kettle. And at some point, the liquid part of the blood starts to leak where it absolutely shouldn't be, directly into the lungs, into those tiny air sacs, the alveoli, which are supposed to be filled with air. Your cat begins to drown right there in your living room, on dry land. Her breathing gets faster and faster. She sits in a sphinx pose, legs spread wide, neck stretched out, desperately trying to grab just one gulp of air. You hear wheezing, gurgling sounds. At this moment, friends, the clock is ticking in hours. Without emergency veterinary care, saving her is almost impossible. But there's another, even more rapid scenario. It's like a lightning strike. The second scenario is thromboembolism. Remember the blood pooling in the heart? In that stagnant blood, like in a still pond, clots start to form. And one terrible day, a clot breaks free and travels through the bloodstream. Most often, it gets stuck where the aorta splits into the arteries going to the back legs. And then something horrific happens. The cat might let out a wild, piercing scream. It's the pain of blood supply being cut off instantly. She collapses, her back legs dragging like dead weight. Her paw pads turn pale and cold. Imagine, 1 minute she was running, the next her entire back half is paralyzed. The pain is unimaginable. In this state, without help, a cat can die within 2 to 4 hours. It breaks our hearts just talking about it. And then there's the third, fastest outcome, the one that leaves owners completely bewildered. There were no signs. Sometimes the heart stops, not because of a blockage or fluid, but because of an electrical system failure. The heart beats thanks to electrical impulses. With HCM, this system can short circuit. An arrhythmia develops. And sometimes it's a fatal arrhythmia, where instead of beating rhythmically, the heart just quivers, fibrillates. It's like an engine stalling at full speed. In this case, there are no long hours of suffering, no obvious symptoms. The cat simply collapses and is gone in seconds. It's the most lightning-fast scenario and perhaps the most merciful. But why does this all happen so suddenly? Why was the cat fine yesterday and gone today? There's a secret here. It all comes down to the phenomenal ability of cats to endure. Their wild ancestors learned to hide pain and weakness to avoid becoming prey. This camouflage works against them. Even with a heart working at its absolute limit, a cat can maintain its appetite, play, and purr. She won't show you she's struggling until the very last moment. And very often the trigger is plain old stress. A trip to the countryside, guests arriving, home renovations, sometimes even just a vet visit or a nail trim, a hormone rush, a spike in blood pressure, and the dam breaks. Pulmonary edema or a fatal arrhythmia is triggered. This is why tragedy so often strikes what seems like out of the blue. You know, I'm telling you all this not so you'll hug your cat and cry all evening. I'm telling you so you know there is hope, and it's huge. If HCM is caught early while the body's compensatory mechanisms are still working, you can live with this disease, live for years, fully, happily, actively. Cats are put on medication that reduces the heart's workload, thins the blood, and prevents fluid buildup. They take pills. They'll try to trick you and spit them out, of course, but that's another story. They go for regular ultrasounds, and they live a long cat life. The key is to get there before the disaster, not when the edema has already started, but a year or two before it ever could. Friends, let's wrap this up with a warm but important conclusion. A cat can't tell us, "My chest hurts." She won't show us she's struggling to breathe until it's absolutely critical. So our job is to be more observant than any machine. Any breathlessness after mild exertion, open mouth breathing, cats only do this in extreme emergencies. Sudden weakness, pale gums. This is not a "she'll rest and it'll pass" situation. This is a reason to run to a veterinary cardiologist and get an ultrasound. Remember, 10 to 15% of cats live with this threat. But early diagnosis turns the silent killer into just another chronic condition you can peacefully coexist with. Take care of those furry little hearts, watch them closely, and may their purring fill your home for as long as possible. If you found this video helpful, please don't scroll past. Hit that like button. It might help someone else see this information and potentially save their pet. And in the comments, let me know. Have you ever noticed anything unusual about your cat's breathing? Subscribe so you don't miss more stories from the lives of our whiskered, striped friends. See you in the next video.